Barton here from Tortoise IT. In this short video, I'd like to talk to you about my Taxonomy Layout Injector. Now, what's a taxonomy, you're going to be asking me, is the first question. How does that affect me? Why do I need them? What's going on? Okay, a taxonomy is a way of tagging and categorizing content. Okay, so if you write a blog post on any site that you do, you'll have a little box on the right-hand side that allows you to check a box for each category or to add tags. Now, every single custom post type can have these. So if you've used the projects page within Divi or Extra or whatever, you'll notice there's a project categories set of checkboxes on the side. Those are collectively known as taxonomies. Now, what you get when you actually view the archive of taxonomies, so an archive is the show me 10 and then next page and show me 10 more, and then you click into them to view. Now, in our blog pages, we typically sort of think of them as you want things to be in a nice grid, or you want to customize how they look and feel. There's not a lot you can do. I mean, you can use the Divi blog module, or there's plenty of other premium plugins on the market. This plugin, though, Taxonomy Layout Injector, allows you to completely style the taxonomy archive pages using nothing but the Divi Builder. That's no CSS, no PHP. Now, to get to these archive pages, I mean, this is my own site, sean-barton.co.uk. This is a post I wrote in December or something, and it's not the most inspiration of layouts. I'm a programmer, not a designer, so sorry about that. But the point is, just below the title here, you'll see I've got the date and I've got a bunch of tags that I've added to it. And when you click on one of these tags, you get the taxonomy archive page. So if I click on Divi, I'll go to a different tab here. I'm on my boat and the internet is rubbish. So sorry if this cuts out, or I'm just going to go between the tabs now. So I've clicked that magically. And we've got this massive goodbye picture. We've got the jumping header fix. We've got some other bits and pieces. And it goes on and on and on. Until you get some pagination at the bottom, or paging. Now, this is powered by the WP Page Navi plugin, which you can add. It's free and it's compatible with all of my plugins. You simply activate it and it shows the numbers. If you don't have it active, you'll see older posts, newer posts, or whatever it is in your language. So it's entirely up to you. I'd recommend you do use it, but it's up to you. Now, one thing I do notice straight away is that I have this massive sidebar that's, I mean, I like it. I mean, I've obviously modified it for my site. But you've got this line there that I don't really want. It's not really in keeping. And I've got this big long list of posts with these massive images that are no good to me or anybody else. What I'd like to see is a nice, neat grid. Okay. Now, you don't have to have a grid. You can have a list. You can have style thing, and I'll go over that now. Okay. So there's not even a title. I mean, on this page, it doesn't even tell me I'm in the Divi category. It's just there. Okay. Sorry, I have my co-presenter here, my dog. There we go. She's feeling a bit sorry for herself. So there you go. She might woof a bit. There you go. Okay. So let's go and have a look. Now, Taxonomy Layout Injector, I've just activated it. And you go down to the settings page and Taxonomy Layout Injector, and this is what you get. Now, your license key goes in. If you don't add it, don't worry. It's not a problem. All this does is activate auto-update, and obviously licensing to let you know if your key expires. At the moment, this is a lifetime license, so it's just for auto update. So that's handy, but enter it, obviously recommended. There's a handy little bit of information here telling you where to go for some documentation, and a little video talking about the loop archive. I won't talk about the loop archive in this video because it's not complicated. It's just hard to understand. So watch the video and it will explain how the loop archive concept works. But in a nutshell, it allows you to have infinitesimal control over the grid or list of whatever you want. You can use any Divi module you like to really get these things configured. It works really well with plugins like Advanced Custom Fields. So do watch the video. But this plugin comes with a number of different archive modules, and we're just going to be using the archive basic today. I've recently added an archive that allows you to use the Essential Grid plugin as well. So that's another one which you'll want to toy with. But that's just get used to the plugin first. Now, what this page will do is it will grow or shrink depending on how many taxonomies you have active. Now, by default, categories and tags are linked to posts, and so blog posts. Project categories and project tags are linked to the project's post type, which is here. That comes with Divi. And I'm thinking that these categories and tags here are for the Download Manager plugin, which I've got active here. Now, any plugin that you add may add its own taxonomies. So WooCommerce adds product tag and product category. And you can add them yourself. It's about 10 lines of code, and you can tag things however you want. What this page allows you to do, what this plugin allows you to do, is style these archive pages in any way using the Divi Builder. So bear in mind, this is my archive page, okay? That is an archive, and it's dull. If people land on this page, we're not getting them to go anywhere. We're not upselling anything. We haven't got a helpful header. We haven't got anything useful at all. It just looks like a dynamically generated page, which it is. If you look at the URL, category, WordPress, themes, Divi, that's because Divi lives below the WordPress and the themes categories. So yours might just be /category/Divi or whatever else. So back into this one here. The one we're going to be doing today is the categories archive. That's this one here. And we have the ability to override individual terms. What's a term, you ask? Well, glad you asked me. Divi, that's a term. There you go. We click into here. Every single one of these words on the left-hand side here is known as a term. So if you tag something as Divi, or you tag it as WordPress, or categorize it as WordPress, it's going to have its own archive page. So for instance, I'm in the Divi category right now, but if I go to the WordPress category, or the themes category, or the plugins category, they can each have their own styled layout. People I know who have used this plugin use it quite extensively for sites where you're categorizing projects, portfolio items, and they might want to individually and sort of tailor each of these archive pages as they see fit, and that's completely fine. So that's entirely what this plugin allows you to do. But today we're just going to deal with this big archive layout drop down. Now this is so if you choose a layout from this one here, any category archives are going to be laid out using that layout. And then of course, if you then said, well, actually bug fixes or bbPress, I want to be a different layout, then it will actually override that. So there's your main layout that everything uses. But if I wanted bug fixes to have its own special bug fix layout with a special search or whatever, then I just choose my own layout from there. Now, if you haven't used the Divi Library before, the Divi Library is a page that sits, it's actually behind my face in the corner. If I move it out of the way, there we go. And you'll see Divi. Behind there is Divi Library. Okay, now that is where you can go and create your own templates and layouts or whatever, and you can bring them into any post page or whatever. I use them in all my plugins because it's a really handy place where, frankly, your clients aren't going to get in the way. I mean, for instance, if you want to let your clients tag things, categorize things, but you don't really want it to have them messing around with the layout of the site too much. If you've designed it and you have to then come and fix it when they break it, it's not ideal. So the Divi Library is a fantastic place to put stuff. Now, you'll notice here that I've got 4 different layouts there already. Normally this would be empty if you haven't used it before. And these are for my homepage, which is entirely powered by CPT Layout Injector, which is for blogs and post type archives. That is a list of all projects or a list of all blog posts, for instance, like a blog. So we're going to go ahead and create one now. So let's go to Layouts and Add New. And we're just going to call this Category Archive. Doesn't matter what you call it, really doesn't matter at all, just so that you're going to remember what it is. And instead of a module, we're going to create a layout. That's all, nothing else, just press submit. Now it'll churn for a second and it will then bring you to a fairly familiar page using the Divi Builder. I don't recommend the front-end builder. I think you can use it, but it's just probably just best to use this one. The custom modules that come with this plugin that you are going to have to use here aren't compatible with the Visual Builder anyway. As it stands, this is February 2018, no third-party plugin works with the Visual Builder, so it's not really worth using, but it is there for future reference. Now, I'm going to want let's go back to my Divi page here. I'm going to want a big green, that's my brand, green title that says Divi in this case. I don't want a sidebar, and I'm just going to have a grid of items. I might have the sidebar, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so first things first, we're going to create our, there you go, there's our first row, single column, And in my module list, there's some CPT modules there. That's from the CPT Layout Injector. Go down here, you'll see the Taxonomy module. So starting there and ending there. So I've even spelled taxonomy. I've just noticed a typo. That's wonderful, isn't it? I'll fix that. Taxonomy. So you're going to see here the Taxonomy Archive Basic. That's the one we're going to be using. We also have the Taxonomy Loop Archive and Taxonomy Essential Grid Archive. The title, content, featured image, title, and user avatar are for when you use the Loop Archive, which you can see in the other video. But for now, we're just going to have the Taxonomy Archive title. And we're going to say it's going to be light and centered. And I'm not going to have a description because I don't actually write descriptions about my modules. I should do. But there we go. And if you want the avatar, so this is good for the plugin also does the date archives and the I think it does anyway. That's the you have the author pages and the date archive. So any post that's written by, let's say, Sean, not sure who Anne Smith is, but Sean, then I might say actually when you're on the /author/Sean page, then you view a certain layout. So there we go, that's interesting. And the post date is, again, if you're looking at all archives from 2018-02, then that was going to use that archive as well. So that's quite handy if you really want to customize the site. But what you can do, what's great is you can actually build one layout in the Divi library and assign it to literally everything. And that means you've got a brilliant catch-all that works with tags, categories, and anything else. It all follows the brand and it all just works. That way you're not having layouts or pages on your site which are just basic Divi. So if you want to get a thing, you really go the extra mile for your clients. Use it, check all the boxes, and it's done. Nothing else to do. So, light color, we're going to center orientation, and we're going to leave it for now as that. And then I'm going to change the background color, and I'm hoping I have my green on my clipboard because I normally do. Fantastic. There we go. I've got my green. That's just a normal title. Now we're going to add standard section, full width again, and I'm just going to add the archive basic module. So taxonomy archive basic. Okay, by default layout is full width. We have list and we have grid. Grid is, as you'd expect, a grid. And list is much like this that you've got here, when I get to it, there we go, except that the image is on the left-hand side, just over here. So you've got a nice, neat little image and then all this information to the right. It looks really smart, and I'll show you that shortly. But for now, let's go with grid. No, let's go with grid. Now, when you choose grid, you have 2, 3, and 4 column options. So let's choose 4 because it's a full width page. Somebody's Skyping me or messaging me or something, but we'll ignore her or him. And we want to show the featured image. We do want to show the date. Featured image size. Now, that doesn't relate to exactly how big the image is going to be. It's what size of image you're going to put into the whole. Thumbnail is 150 pixels square, I think. That's a hard crop as well. So you're going to lose your aspect ratios. It's going to be nice little square. That's great for most cases. In fact, my plugin will add, I think, its own CPT and its own special sizes that you can use. I tend to just go with medium or medium large. They are non-cropped images which will fit nicely into the size. So medium's fine, medium large. You can go with large if you like. It's entirely up to you. Right, content. We want to show the excerpt. Yeah, the excerpt. No, so if you don't know what the excerpt is, that's the excerpt. 30, 40 words, ... or whatever. Okay, yours may have the squares with ... in it and read more or whatever. You can add that here. So, excerpt, that's our little sentence. We'll have that. Don't want to show the full content because what's the point in clicking through to the blog page then? So, excerpt, or you can choose none if you like, just to show the images and the titles. Read more button. Yes, please. Yeah, I'd like a read more button. Great. Author. Yeah. Nah, no author. That's me. As I write everything, so there's no point. Date. Handy. Categories. Handy. Comment count. No, not really. Pagination. Yeah, sure. Featured image overlay. We'll leave that off for now. That's when you hover over an image, you'll get like a little, I'm not sure it works normally. You don't get that normally anyway, but you do with my plugin. And then there's a few design options in there and there. And that's it, really. That's it. Let's just save it. I hope my computer doesn't crash again. This is the 5th recording. So let's just wait for this to save. Category archive. Lovely. It's saved. We're all good. So we should have a big header section and a grid of 4. So let's go and see how it looks. It may look awful. Who knows? Okay, so let's head down to categories, and I have to refresh this because this is just a tab that I had open. So obviously, if you click from your Divi library to the Taxonomy Layout Injector page, you wouldn't have to refresh. I had to because it was already open. And you'll see category archive is actually showing in the list. Now if I scroll down to save and press save. Now, moment of truth. Let's really hope this plugin isn't broken. If it is broken, viewers, I will fix it, okay? I honestly will fix it. Just fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Come on! Well, we're halfway there. We've got a green heading. Oh, we've got a bunch of blank stuff. Oh, what's going on here? Let's have a look. It's probably animations turned on. I will remedy that now. Let's have a quick look, shall we? So, in there, advanced, there might be an animation option. There we go. I'll have a look at it down here. You know what? I'm just going to pause recording for a second to fix it. Okay, guys, sorry about that. The solution was, it was actually that my site was using a super old version of Divi. I was on 3.0.50 something, and the current live version is 3.0.101, I think. So I was about 50 different versions behind. So it looks like there was some opacity CSS there. So the grid was being generated, but the CSS wasn't quite there. So apologies for that. This won't affect you. Okay. So as you can see from this list here, I'm now on a page that says Divi at the top, which is quite nice. You can restyle that using the advanced design settings on the module. We have a nice long section here of posts that I've written in this category. Yeah, it works quite well, I think. You know, we can do things like add different background colors and stuff, and I'll go ahead and do that now. So let's see if this works. No filter. So we're going to edit the layout. So I don't know why I had that open. And I'm going to create ever so slight light gray background color on the section. Now I do this quite a lot. If you add it as 0.4 or 0.6, that's not the right one, 0.04 rather, let's try that again. You get a really nice light grey. There we go. And if on the module itself or on the row, depending on what you fancy, we can go ahead and add, in fact, let's do it on the row. We'll add ourselves a nice bit of grey. So we're going to set a white background on the row, like that. And we're going to put 30 pixels of padding around it. We're going to say 30px. I actually put it all in all the boxes. There you go, and we're going to save. Now what we should end up with is a nice grey background on the page, but not so grey it gets in the way. So it fits in with any brand you like, and a white background nicely padded out around the container itself. So when this is saved, which I'm hoping will happen any moment now, there we go, it's saved. And I'll go back to my Divi page, just waiting for the swirly bit up here to finish doing its thing, and I'll do a hard refresh. I don't know why I'm doing a hard refresh, a normal refresh would have been fine. So let's just refresh and wait. Sorry, my boat internet is slow, but that's all right. There we go. I quite like that. I think 10 pixels more padding will make it stand out a bit better. So we're going to go with 40 pixels of padding now. Actually, I would like to reinstate my sidebar, actually, thinking about it. So what I'm going to do is, and here's a little trick I do quite regularly, is in the row settings, in the design tab, you can do custom width and click on the unit to percentage and leave it at 80. Now that means you get a much wider page and everything just fits beautifully. So we're going to save that now. Up this padding to 40px. There we go. We're going to save that and update. Now I haven't added the sidebar yet. I would just like to show you the difference between this and 80% width. Now my screen resolution I think is about 1900 by something or other. Yours might be lower, but the joy of 80% is 80% is 80%. It is subject to the same breakpoints that you would get with Divi, so tablet, mobile, desktop, and Divi just does its own thing below 900 odd pixels, I think. So anytime you get onto a mobile device, it will sort itself out, which I'm quite pleased about. Okay, that's saved. I'm just going to refresh this now. It's up to about there at the minute, so let's just see how much wider it goes when it refreshes. There we go. Now, what I like about this is on my screen now, that looks fantastic to me. I'm lacking the sidebar, but what it does allow me to do is potentially keep my 4 columns and have a sidebar over the side here. Because obviously crushing down a standard width page, keeping 4 columns, you're going to have some really small images. But that's okay if you're not really reliant on images or anything else. I quite like my images, so I'm not very good at making them. I just find them normally, but you know, if I'm doing product releases or whatever, then obviously I'm going to have the product image here. So let's go ahead and make that a bit smaller. Let's knock that down to 3/4, 1/4, and we'll add our sidebar module. And again, you can use any module you like. So you could have you know, upsells, you can have text descriptions, you can have anything you like. And I'm going to use my sidebar. Okay. I'm not going to do any. Oh yes, I will do some styling. Sorry. I'll go to design. I will remove the border separator. That is the line, and I will tell it it's on the right. Not sure what difference that makes, but I will tell it it's on the right regardless. And I will save. So no real settings need to be added. I'm just adding a sidebar, and that means that that can then be managed centrally through the widgets interface. So let's wait for that to refresh here. And again, this is all in one take. I did pause it to fix that small issue before, but that was an update. And you get this in real time. So yes, I have talked for God knows how long now, but don't worry too much about that. Obviously, you won't be talking to yourself whilst doing it, so it should take you a few minutes. I'm just going to refresh now, and what we'll hopefully see is, yeah, there we go. A much neater page. The 4 columns actually look fine to me, and we've got the sidebar at the side as well. I might knock that down to 3 columns, just out of habit, really, but because I like larger images, but I'm quite happy with that, generally speaking. So let's go down to 3 columns. So Taxonomy Archive Basic, 3 columns, save, and update. Now, I did tell you about list and full width. The full width is pretty much the same as the default Divi one. So if you like the big image default look, if you've got a photography site, something like that, you might want some big images, that's okay. Keep that, but using the Divi Builder allows you to have a header, a sidebar, you can have a nice big footer at the bottom with a call to action in. Anything you like, it really will work a treat. Now I'm just waiting for this to refresh whilst I'm blithering on. 2 tabs are loading. There we go. Now that looks better. I'm happy with that. And as I make the screen smaller, it should just do its thing. It should work. There we go. So it actually is responsive quite nicely. Got the Divi category at the top there. And our page is pretty much complete now. So I like that. What I'll do is I'll go to my Divi theme options now, and I'll make it so it's a multiple of 3, so I don't get a random one at the bottom. And I'll also probably put a bit of a border around here or a shadow. So there's a lot you can do with the advanced design settings, but that is now the sean-barton.co.uk Taxonomy Archive page. So I hope this has been a helpful video for you. Apologies for the slight hiccup in the middle, but I'm not re-recording all this. So good luck with that, and I'd love to hear some feedback, and I'd love to see what you can make with it. So get designing. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.